All right. Welcome, friends. Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming on this dream exploration call, the dream world. Yeah, thanks for coming on this early evening. I'm excited, and I'm going to pass this over to Robin to introduce Amy.
Yeah, so hello friends. Good to see we have different members of all of our different hoops here from our soul power medicine and plant spirit medicine hoops to our different Pachakuti Mesa hoops. So thanks for being present. And I'm so grateful, Amy Mermaid, for you willing to be come on and be our guest teacher. As in all of our different apprenticeship circles, we have had, a lot of deep and like meaningful questions surface over the years around dream work and like what differentiates a medicine dream from maybe just one of those dreams where you're processing the content of your life. And so we are looking forward to hearing from you and thank you to all of our students who showed up, and we're definitely recording this for everybody else. And for those of you who filled out the survey, so we could get some really good, qualitative feedback to guide this conversation and best use our time with Amy Mermaid Isakov, who Amy's both a friend, a fellow Pachakuti Mesa sanctioned teacher. She's been doing dream work with Robert Moss for over 12 years and deeply apprenticed with Elliot Cohen in plant spirit medicine, and that lineage of work from Elliot Cohen and the Five Elements series for maybe over 20 years now, for quite a while. So, yeah, we are friends and sisters in the great work and looking forward to diving in with you, Amy. And we thought we'd just begin with, questions from the circle, but I have them kind of collated in a list. I thought it'd be good to begin with anything you want to share, of course, Amy, and also just this primary question of how do we distinguish which dreams we should work with that are being asked to work with and which we are simply processing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Robin. And thank you, Darcy. Thank you for having me. And thank you all for showing up. I think that, the most important thing in dream work is that the way that I orient towards it is that everything is dreaming. So we are in a 24/7 participatory play of a collaborative universe that is the dreaming. So whether it's a shamanic journey, a plant medicine journey, an experience that you have when you're somewhere between sleeping and awake, all of these things are going to be handled with the same lens and the same intention. So to speak directly to your question, Robin, about like which dreams do we need to work with and get more out of, and which dreams are simply to recognize what we're processing, the answer lies in how you feel after you wake up. So if you have a dream that was really intense, maybe you had a fight with your father and you worked all these things out, and you're like, when you woke up, you felt great. You felt like, wow, I moved something. Then there's your answer. You know, something has moved, you have processed it, and it is ongoing, and you can carry that lightness and joy, hopefully, into your day. Anybody here ever had a dream hangover? Where you have a dream and then you feel maybe you had a dream about a person who wronged you in your dream, and then you feel differently about them the next day. um, those are the sorts of things where we're really being invited to work with them more, because something has changed, something is activated, something is challenging. And so there's nutrition in there for us. There's something to be gleaned. So I want to speak just for a moment generally about active dreaming, which is the type of dream work that I practice as I have learned from Robert Moss. Active dreaming is a way of being an active participant, both in working in the Kaipacha, in this middle world, the messages of dreams or the gifts of dreams, as well as perhaps going back into a dream. And this is something I want to talk about because it is a technique that is so effective and impactful for us to be able to not just be subject to our dreams, but actually get to participate with them. So dream reentry is a practice where you simply use whatever the dream image is that's with you. And it doesn't matter if your dream occurred 30 years ago or you had it last night. If the dream still has energy for you and you have a vision of it, you can work with it. So if you have a dream that is alive in your field, in your body, that is active, you can use that dream image as your portal of entry to go back in. Just like a shamanic journey where you're going to re-encounter or you're going to encounter guidance, or you're seeking an audience perhaps with a tree, it's the same thing. So you can go back into the dream and you can bring with you any and everything you might need. So if you, for example, have a nightmare where you are being chased and you can't run, it might be appropriate to go back into that dream and give yourself a car. Or invite one of your guides with you that could pick you up and fly away. Or perhaps you want to bring in a team with you that can neutralize the threat. And just like in a shamanic journey, there is a way in which our disciplined imagination is the highway and the fuel. And we use that disciplined imagination to enact what's happening. And then at some point, the dream starts to respond. Spirit starts to respond. Whoever you're engaging with, whatever level of manifestation that may be, starts to meet you, and then things change. And it is a process that I have both used and seen used effectively so many times. So for those of you that have dreams that you're like, oh, I wish I could have just asked that one question, you can go back and you can ask that one question. The other thing that I want to present, since I brought up nightmares, is that there is an understanding that Robert carries that really resonates with me, where he says dreams are never on our case. They're always on our side. So if there is something that is terrifying for most of us, especially if there are dreams that you had like when you were younger, the chances of that being something like an actual like demonic possession or a dark energy that is something that needs to be contended with in a different way, the chances of that, especially in our Western culture, are low, like really, really low. Probably what's more likely is there's something urgent that needs your attention, that needs your care. So I want to just again appreciate those of you who filled out the questionnaire. There was so much rich information there. I have a whole bunch of topics here that you presented that I'd be happy to go through. And I thought that it might be fun to talk about so in active dreaming, there's a process that's called the lightning dreamwork game. The lightning dreamwork game is really fun. It's meant to be fast, not something that takes a lot of time, and it's something that many people can play. And so I'm going to go over the steps of what the lightning dream work game is. And then I thought maybe we could actually work a dream together and see what that is like. And again, this can be a dream, it can be a journey, it can be like a bizarre coincidence experience that you had in your waking life. Okay, steps of the lightning dream work game. I do have a document that maybe I'll just send Robin and Darcy afterwards and they can share it with you. Because it's not a very pretty document and it's not great to read. So I'm just going to tell you. So the first step in the lightning dream work game is to give your dream a title. Give your dream a title, and then you're going to tell the story of your dream exactly as it happened without any extra information. So if I had a dream with my grandmother and she was baking in the kitchen, I'm not going to tell you that my grandmother died while I'm telling you my story. We'll get to those sorts of details afterwards. I'm just going to tell you exactly what my experience was. So you tell the story of the dream, all contained just like it was to the moment that you woke up. Then, if I'm playing the dream with you, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to ask you first and foremost how you felt when you woke up from the dream. I really want to underline the word felt. Really, really tuning into the feeling that you had after the dream. Then we'll do a series of reality checks. What do you recognize from your waking life? Are there people, places, circumstances? Is it possible that this could happen in the future? Are you having a prophetic dream? Then I'm going to offer you, if it were my dream, what it would mean to me. And this is the part where multiple people get to join in. So if one of you is telling me a dream, I'll tell you if it were my dream, and then maybe we can take like one or two other people and you can share if it were your dream, what that would be for you. And what I find so miraculous about this process is that first and foremost, we're not telling somebody else what their dream means. We're offering a reflection about how it lives in us, which is always clarifying, because even if everything I tell you is a no, you're like, no, that doesn't land, that doesn't land. You still have more clarity than you did before we played. And then more often than not, there'll be something in the reflections from the group that makes you go, oh, right, okay, I see that. And then the last and final step of the lightning dream work game is an action plan. Taking action from our dreams is one of the most powerful ways to support greater dreaming on the whole. When we take a step, whether that is going back into the dream, making a piece of art from the dream, or sometimes we like to do a bumper sticker, like a little catchphrase that carries what your takeaway is from the dream, that you can write and like put someplace where you can see so that you remember to kind of grow into what this dream offered you. Again, taking some sort of action step from a dream is going to tell your dream producers that you are a worthy player, that you're really up for this, that you're willing to participate. And we'll talk more about like how to break a dream drought or how to work with small dreams afterwards. But for those of you who are here, is there anybody who would like to volunteer to play the lightning dream work game with me? Do you have a dream that is present with you right now? I see Mark nodding his head. You want to play, Mark?
Sure, why not? We'll do it.
Okay, Mark, give your dream a title.
Um, uh, the the mandala. How about that?
The mandala. Okay. Now, please tell me the story of your dream.
Okay, so it begins with me in an office environment, and I'm searching for a place to sit, and I'm clearly trying to work, but I can't find a spot exactly where to sit. And then I do find some open spaces, and I do sit down and I start talking about. I start doing some work, and then and then I'm noticing a flow of people sort of moving around in like coworkers, kind of like working, moving in the office environment, and start walking along with them because I do, and then I notice that they're I greet people, and they greet me back, and they seem to be happy to see me, which is really nice. And I found myself like going through this sort of labyrinthine maze of office cubicles and various other things, and then I find myself outside this sort of office building, and it's sunny outside and it's warm, and I'm walking along with some old friends, and one of them happens to be of Asian descent, which is, and she seems so familiar to me, and I would say I'm just gonna put a name to this person, and this person says her name is Carrie, and she reminds me of an actual friend of mine. So we just continued to talk about things, and she started talking about art. She started talking about mandalas and how they're kind of like portals and various things like that. And then we started walking through these little archways and whatnot, and she starts mentioning that mandalas are like are portals, but they're also something that's within ourselves and whatnot. And then we find ourselves outside in in sort of like an area where people kind of like hang out, where they have their coffee, and she's kind of like lying down, and she mentions what it sounds like as a sacred name to me, and then she starts saying, "Yeah, the mandalas are right here," and then she puts my hand over her body and around the chest area and whatnot, and saying, "This is where it is," and and she says it doesn't matter what orientation it happens to be. That's where the mandala is. And then I said, so she was leading my hands, and then the dream, and then I woke up at that point in time, and so the feeling that I have was that felt like I met somebody, and it felt like there was something to it's a conversation that I'm still working through. So there you go.
Thank you. So when you say that when you woke up, you felt like you met somebody, did you have a experience of like belonging? Did you want to, um, did it feel like you wanted to um, like reach out to your friend?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like it's almost like in 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 certain offices, if there's a fire drill, like people kind of like mull about, and you're sort of bumping into people randomly, and you know it's kind of you kind of know some people and the other don't, and there is a longing to sort of like reach out to people that you kind of know and you want to connect again, and so it's sort of that feeling. It's not like I need to connect with another person. It wasn't anything
So like
like
a
that.
gentle longing and some curiosity,
Yeah,
perhaps,
yeah,
was
absolutely,
alive.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That sounds pretty accurate.
Okay. Now, do you recognize the office building or where you were outside? Is there anything that you recognize from your waking life?
Uh, yeah, I guess there's a, you know, it has sort of the feel that I'm used to, working in a corporate environment. It's yeah, it has that feeling. I can probably point to a couple of buildings, where I actually worked in. So,
Okay. Okay, so you may have been in this building before, it's a
but
familiar
but
place,
it's
but it wasn't like, oh yes, that's my office. I know exactly where
yeah.
that
Here's the map. Here, let me share my screen. I'll show you exactly where it is. It's nothing like that, right? It has the feeling of that,
is. Okay,
and it has characteristics that are very similar to things that I've experienced before.
right on. Um, okay, so now I'm going to give you some feedback if it were my dream.
Okay.
So if this were my dream, I would feel like I feel very like I don't like the office environment, and I am feeling like really out of place and unwelcome. Like I can't find a place to sit down. I have to do this work. What is even the point? Like, okay, there's a little bit of space, and I start doing. I feel a lot of futility, and then as I see all my coworkers like leave, and I feel this sense of like I'm not even sure if I want to join them, but I have to. And so I'm feeling like I'm taking this into really looking at my work in life. How is it that I'm showing up in what I have to do? Am I working with the right group of people? Is this um, the right path for me right now? And as that question brews, I feel a bright hope that there is somebody who actually is connected to a type of deep magic that interests me way more than the corporate office. And
What are you saying? What are you saying about the corporate office? That's
I think I'm being pretty clear, Mark. This is me. We all have different relationships to these environments, and
yeah,
you
absolutely.
take what lands and leave what doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
But I feel like I'm super intrigued about the labyrinth that I
Yeah.
had to go through before I got to this interaction with what feels to me like almost like a sideways spiritual teacher, like one of those encounters that we have with somebody who gives us a gift of insight and then maybe we
Hmm.
never see again. Um, and yeah, so I'm intrigued about the labyrinth, and
Hmm.
it makes me then feel a certain sense of like, okay, maybe I don't like my work. Maybe it's not exactly what I want to be doing, but I am moving towards the treasure at the heart of the mystery all the same. Because we all have to eat, we all need shelter, we have to have an income. And so the fact that I'm being shown these other layers of what's being played makes me feel heartened. And I also feel so much resonance with this idea of the portal mandala within. And it also struck me that she was talking to you about this while going through the archways.
Hmm.
Um, and so just feeling the multi layers of portal, and how also, again, this idea that there's more than meets the eye, because a mandala typically is a two-dimensional image,
Hmm.
yet it can have worlds in it. There can be so much dimensionality even to what appears flat. And so, yeah, I think that, so yeah, so I'm taking on that um, there's something deeper here in my work that is still available, and an opportunity for me to have a multidimensional experience of self really in any environment. Um, any of that helpful for you, Mark?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. A lot of themes are very resonant, and I think it's fair to say that there's a deeper conversation, if not a magical conversation happening right there as well, which I find very exciting and very interesting. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun to be able to sort of play with these ideas and symbolisms, because I think there's something poetic about it and something deep, a deeper meaning, and um, it does resonate, and it's something that's still resonating,
Mhm.
despite the fact that we're playing a game. It's like it's the potency of the actual dream is actually something that's still alive. So that's fun, in my
Yeah.
opinion, and I want to continue on just sort of contemplating that and see where it goes.
Are you open to if there's one or two people who would like to offer if it were their dream?
Totally fine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Does anybody feel moved to offer a reflection if it were their dream, what it would mean for you? Feeling kind of complete? Complete in the crowd? Okay. Beautiful. So then the last step, Mark, is to
Hmm.
create an action plan. What are
Yeah.
you going to do to honor this dream?
Good question. Um, well, maybe the first thing is to make a mandala. Let's do that.
Amazing. I hear there's a pretty good mandala teacher right on this call.
All right. Well, there you go. Maybe that's the
Beautiful.
first
Thank
step.
you, Mark.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. All right. So there's the lightning dream work in action. This is the kind of thing that you can do anywhere. When Robert does retreats, there's always lightning dream work around the breakfast table and just everybody metabolizing what was going on at the night. And again, you can use this for any type of non-ordinary experience. All right. So I want to address a question here that came in on the form, which a couple of you asked it actually, which was about common symbols or tropes in dreams versus your personal vernacular. I am somebody who does not subscribe to anybody else's definition of what's showing up in my dream than my own. And you might read a dream dictionary and it'll tell you something and you go, that doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't for you. It made sense for them. It's one of the reasons that I really value this orientation of giving feedback and if it were my dream. Because like my relationship with the cardinal, for example, I might have a very specific association with the cardinal that means something to me, but for you, it means something different. It might be very different. It might be slightly different. But I firmly believe that spirit speaks to us in a way that we can understand. So your dreams, your journeys, whatever is showing up for you is showing up in a way that you are able to receive it and metabolize it. So when we are having an experience of a dream that is just really bewildering, you can take it to a friend, see if you can get some reflections on it. You can also do research in a holistic kind of way into some of the elements. So to use like the mandala as an example, I might research how are mandalas used? Where do they show up in the world? What types of mandalas are there? Maybe in the image that you were shown, there actually is a very clear style that will lead you to another truth. Sometimes we'll hear language or words in a dream that don't make sense to us, and we can also research those. what could this word be? Where is it pointing us to? Is it pointing us to a culture? Is it pointing us to an insight? Is there, it can be breadcrumbs along the way. And so there's also a lot of categories of dreams, which is kind of where you started us, Robin, of, how do we discern? And so I'll just offer you guys a few considerations as to what type of dream you might be having. So we talked about like processing your day, or processing what's going on at a deep level. Sometimes we are just having a replay of, like you watched a movie before you went to bed, and then that movie was in your dreams. We can have dreams of parallel lives. Maybe you have a dream where you have a different spouse and no children, or lots of children, and you live in a totally different place. And the dream is just a very regular dream of going through life. It may be that you simply had an experience of a parallel existence. What is really fun about parallel life dreams is that when you make a connection with one of those, you may also be able to go and gain insight or skills. You may be able to learn something or bring back something from that part of yourself into this incarnation, into this timeline, into this life. So we want to remain real curious and open about what realms we're being invited into. One of your questions on the sheet, I forget whose it was, but was asking, like, what happens when we dream? Like, what are we even doing? And it's generally understood that we're traveling. Our spirit, our sombra, our astral body, whatever you want to call it, is traveling to other realms and having a whole bunch of experiences before coming back. Sometimes when we get woken up like from a dream, it can be really hard to wake up because we're like ripped out in between worlds. And so we can actually use our shamanic tools, right? The same way that you bring yourself back from a journey, like really intentionally calling all parts of yourself back in all the way, like to your feet, your knees, really come into your body and invite all of that back. There are some dreams that are just understood to be good stories. Sometimes a good story can, like, maybe you want to write it. Maybe it becomes like a short story or an essay, or maybe it becomes like part of a novel. Or maybe it's just like, hey, that was really fun. And then we have what we call big dreams. Big dreams are the ones that change us, that stay with us for a long time. And you know it's a big dream because you feel it. You're like, whoa, something happened here. I was given an insight, or I had some kind of interaction, and I need to do something with this. I have a dream. I had a dream like, God, maybe like 25, 30 years ago, that maybe like 5 years after the first dream, I had a follow-up where it was like the same scene. It was the same scenario, but everybody was a little bit older. And there was this maturation process that was happening. And I was waiting for the third dream, like for so long. I was like, what happened? What happened to this child? What happened to, we were on a space voyage and there was an iridescent baby and I want to know about all the things. It was a cool dream. And in a journey recently, like within the past 2 weeks, for whatever reason, this dream came to my mind and I inquired, about these, like, what was happening? Hey, like, what happened to that baby? And I had this experience of my entire body becoming iridescent. And so my conclusion is that she's in me now, or maybe I was her. But there are some dreams that have a force in them that grips us and stays with us and creates, they become companions in our lives and can support our mythological health, or can keep us on our soul's trajectory. Anybody here had a big dream? Yeah. 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 So I'm going to take a breath. I have a lot more things that I'm super excited to tell you about. And I just wonder if at this point there are any questions that are alive in any of you.
I do. I have a question. I
Yeah.
was taking notes, Amy. So you said dream reentry, work with um, when you set your intention. There's a dream. I think I wrote it down on the paper, but it's one. It's something I'd very like to revisit. It's a hard place to find, and but it's something I'm always looking for. When I do find it, it's bliss. I usually don't. But so with the dream reentry, I just want to be kind of technical. It's my guy, monkey-minded guy. So is that like laying in bed with your head on the pillow with the covers on you and sort of a little prayer meditation and set an intention with spirit, with creator, like, hey, I would really like to revisit this tonight if possible. Is that kind of that how you drop into that and just keep working with that practice right at bedtime as you're drifting off? Would that be the
Great question, Jeff. Thank you. So you can do it that way. That process that you just described of like making a prayer and setting an intention before bed is what I would actually call dream incubation. So if you are calling forth a particular dream, or maybe you want to go and meet somebody, like maybe you want to meet up with a friend in dreamtime, that would be something to incubate so that you have a very clear intention and prayer. And ideally, you also have a notebook by your bed. It can help to write down your process, your intention before you dream. But that process is also one that is more of a request to your dream producers and may or may not yield the type of engagement that you're looking for. So when I say dream re-entry, we're actually going to treat it like a shamanic journey. So you can, you get your body into a comfortable, relaxed position, whether that's sitting or laying down is up to you. And then you're going to use some sort of trance music, whether that's drumming or rattling or something that puts you into that state. You can totally rattle or drum for yourself if that's something that you're used to and that you're comfortable with, if you feel supported by it, or you can put on a drumming track for like, I'm kind of a fast journeyer, like 12 minutes is a long time for me, but you can, like 20 minutes is a time period that can feel very spacious and expansive. Dreams operate outside of the usual time realities. So a lot can happen in a short period of time, but it's also nice to be able to really stay and take your time and be patient. So you're going to treat dream re-entry like a shamanic journey. And you're going to set it up for yourself like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Great. Thank you, Jeff. All right. So let's see here. There are a couple of cool questions. I'm gonna kind of stick to the simple stuff though. For us. So how to we I want to go into the action step of the dream work. How can we apply or translate these dream experiences into our waking life? I want to just point out that I'm really intentionally not saying real life. I'm saying waking life because it's all real. We, as practitioners of the many dimensions, have this great gift of experience. And that's where that's where I define reality from. I experienced it, it's real. You can't unexperience something. So it's part of what we know. So when we want to take our dream experiences into our waking life, we can, first and foremost, take them seriously. Robert Moss is often fond of saying that we need to take our dreams more literally and our waking life more symbolically. So we want to take them seriously, don't dismiss them, recognize that there are forces at play, dimensions at play, and also perhaps collaboration at play in a much bigger field than we're used to including when we think about like going to work. And when we take them seriously, we may start to see more reflections in the world around us of this dream. And sorry, I'm making a note for myself of something to come back to. And if you don't go back into the dream, making a piece of art, even if you don't consider yourself an artist, like make a stick figure in your drawing, in your journal, give it some kind of form, plant that seed here on the waking earth plane, and it will stay with you in a different way. Does anybody who's on right now have a particular question or example of something that they had in a dream that they're really struggling to incorporate into their waking life? Oh, that's okay. If you think of something and you're totally adrift, you can reach out to me later. But we want to, really just honor these dreams and give them form. And it can also be really lovely to show interest in other people's dreams and take their dreams seriously. It helps to build the fabric of what we value in this world. There's a saying, they say, anybody who dreams is a little bit shaman. So even if you're like in an apprenticeship or studying these different things and you want to talk to your muggle friends, dreams are a great bridge of realities. And it's a place where people will more willingly acknowledge like, oh, I had this really strange experience. And then you get to talk about fun things. There was also a question about, are your dreams impacted if you are sharing a bed with somebody? Yes. They absolutely can be. They don't have to be. It is totally possible for you to have your own dream, adventure, and experience that has no impact on the person or persons who are next to you in the bed. It's also possible that you will, because of especially if you're co-sleeping with a toddler, if you get woken up a lot in the night, that tends to keep us in a place of more vivid dreaming because we don't sink all the way into the blackness of REM or whatever they call it. And if you are sleeping next to a partner and your partner has a lot that's going on, you may, because you're in their field, metabolize some of what they have going on in their dream. And it's helpful to share your dreams with the people that you're sharing the bed with, or ask them also did you have any dreams? Because somebody might be dreaming for you.
Hey, Amy, can
Yeah.
share a little story?
Wish you would.
There's two situations with that, not necessarily dreaming with Robin, although I'm sure we do. But there's one situation where we're over at a friend's house and they lovingly allowed us to use their bed, right? And so I was sleeping in the place where this friend of ours slept every night, and I could tell I was dreaming his dreams. He was in my dreams, and I could tell they weren't my dreams, or they're a mix between mine and his energy. So I think that can happen too. Like we're in the energetic field of
Absolutely.
their bed. And then also we lived in a co-housing community where we had a wall between two units. And so the bedrooms of the two units of the master bedroom were on the same wall.
Yeah, it's like one of the only design flaws we
Yeah.
built in. Like,
So we're probably like 6 feet away from their heads when we're sleeping, right? And I could swear I was like always slightly picking up on his dream life.
I
Yeah.
tried, I
So
created like a white force field. Like, no. But yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So just a couple examples of like how we can really tune into other people's dream bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, there are, I also just want to honor that there are so many dream practices from different cultures around the world. Like the Toltecs have such a deep and powerful dream work process that I've learned a little bit of, and haven't practiced much. But I'll just share one super cool thing because I find it very compelling, which is that the way that they record their dreams is backwards. So you start from the moment you woke up, and then what you remember right before, right before, right before. And then the goal is to see if you can remember all the way back to the moment the dream started and actually right before. And there will be a color. And that color is how they know what type of dream it is. A lot of us have relationships with colors. A lot of us are familiar with the chakra system, maybe do yoga or have, or Reiki, or have worked with the chakra system in some way. So if that's part of your lexicon, if that's part of how you know to understand reality, those are things that you can pay attention to also understand, like perhaps where this dream is meeting you. So like if everybody in your dream is in red, if that were my dream, I would think about my root chakra. What is my relationship to home, some of the primal patterns that are in my life? But again, it's really about what resonates with you and how you feel about it. And you're going to have a sense of these things. Like Darcy, when you were had that experience of laying where your friend had slept and you were in his dreams, would you say that, like, how would you say you knew that?
Um, yeah, it was kind of a multi-sensory experience. So not only recognizing him in his dreams, but also the feeling, definitely knowing that I'm in his dream or he's in my dream or yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a felt sense. And I think that knowing is something that supports us throughout our shamanic work. And, this interface of like what is shamanism and what is dream work is really, there is no difference, because shamanism, first and foremost, it's a worldview. It's a way of understanding that we live in an animate, participatory cosmos. And so dreams are going to be inherently part of our Yeah. Jeff.
Yeah, I guess a question slash comment. Um, my dreams for the long, first off, my dreams are super weird. I think I wrote in my comment, over a period of about 10 years. You know, when you go to Walt Disney World or Six Flags, they give you a big cartoon map of where the rides are. I actually, with an art set, I mapped out Dream World, and that's where the nuclear warheads are in the schoolyard, and because it was just super weird. But I found about 12 years ago, there was a summer where I felt, this happened multiple times, and I felt like I was tapping into some power where it kept occurring to me in the dream that I knew I was dreaming. One time I was like digging up a cell phone, and I dug up a pink cell phone. I was like, wait a minute, I don't own a pink cell phone. And then I was like, whoa, I'm dreaming. And I remember kind of touching the walls, being like, wow, like this is real. Like this is crazy. I don't know where I am right now, but I know I'm not in my bed. And anyway, and that happened for a whole summer. And then it just kind of went away. And now I'm back as the participant, completely unaware, just in it. So I guess to frame that in context, there's a bit of a mystique there, but is there, a benefit? Is that a mastery thing? Is there something to be developed, gained, learned from having like a deeper level of mastery over your dreams, of an awareness of what's going on and participating in those in a different way? Is that like kind of next level thing, or what is that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was such a rich share. Thank you. There's a couple things I want to respond to, but I'll start with that question. So, a lucid dream is defined by becoming conscious that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. So, I have wanted to be a lucid dreamer for like ever. And I had a lucid dream one time and I got so excited. I woke up. I just was like really, really activated. So most of my lucid dreaming or active dreaming comes in the form of dream reentry, because I'm conscious enough to participate. I'm not just kind of, I know I'm dreaming when I do a journey. Lucid dreaming, or being aware that you're dreaming, is an incredibly powerful tool because you can do anything you want. You can fly, you can visit deceased relatives, you can go to any place on the planet and check it out. You can, another thing from the Toltec dreaming is that whenever you become lucid, they tell you to plant seeds of prosperity, health, whatever you need in your life, and just plant seeds, and then water them. And they tell you that anything that's planted in the dream time will grow in the waking life. So, in terms of mastery, I mean, there are some people who do all of their healing work in dreams. Nighttime is when they work. So you become lucid, you're dreaming, you can go to your healing office or sanctuary, invite in the people who have asked you for help, and offer whatever you need. And you have an infinite field of possibilities. Like, oh, sometimes I'm working with somebody and I'm like, oh gosh, I really wish I had this bottle of rose water. Well, if I'm in a dream time, I can just grab it because it's there. We have totally different rules in the dreaming than we do in waking life. So, immense possibility and fun can be had in lucid dreaming. The other thing that you said was that you had a dream that you kept going to the same place and you actually mapped it. You drew it out. So that's a very advanced technique. It's something that I host dream teacher trainings, and at our highest level, we have a whole thing of astral cartography. And what's really fun about drawing maps of dream realms is that you're developing such a deep relationship with the territory that it can be a place that you can bring other people. You can And you can also build places in the dreaming that you can bring other people. And there's been really phenomenal experiments of like having a dream location that somebody has a map of, and then inviting a whole group of dreamers into it and having everybody draw their maps. And, oh, did you know that there were honeysuckles that grew by the playground? And then they get added to the map. And in this way, we co-create and also share dream experiences. So there's a lot of potential, depending on what kind of work you do or what you want to do in those dream locations. And this is true for a number of you mentioned that you have places that you go back to consistently in your dreams, and mapping them and drawing them and getting to know, wow, like what really goes on here? Is this a place that maybe somebody who's coming to me for help might really benefit from? And it can become a tool for you in that way. So,
when you're complete with that thought, I have something I'd love to add in.
Okay, great. Well, actually, I was just gonna, there's one more little piece or there's one more practice that I wanted to just offer as we come towards the end of our time together. But I have a note so I can come back to it. So yeah, go ahead, Robin.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, this is super rich. Thank you so much. I wanted to highlight, because one of the women in the call, and I haven't asked you ahead of time, Kathy, but I wanted to highlight some of the work you've been doing and maybe just see, how Kathy was one of the people who really inspired us reaching out to you, because she is in the third year of our soul power medicine apprenticeship, the plant spirit medicine work that we do. And she has been, over these years, cultivating a relationship with a plant called Wayusa, which is a dreaming plant, and then developing dreaming ceremonies. And I just wanted to kind of open a bit of a space in the time we have, just to share around this, maybe Kathy, if you'd be willing to share a little bit, and then Amy for your reflections, just around, ceremonial dreaming and really meeting, the dream as a ceremony, as everybody in this call and everybody who's listening is an apprentice to the shamanic traditions. What I'm really hearing from you is that there's no differentiation between dream time, waking, and shamanic dreaming or shamanic journey work. Is really just how we're relating to these different states of consciousness. But then Kathy, I feel like, has been cultivating this and taking it to another level of like a very deep dream ceremony practice. And I thought, maybe Kathy, would you be willing to share a little bit with Amy and the group? And then from there, just see where in 10 minutes we could bring this conversation, because I feel like it's something that's so rich and beautiful. I know Kathy also has 3 kids at home, so that also impacts.
I just have my toddler and he wants to go biking.
Oh yeah.
So I am a little distracted, but I guess I had some, I could share a little bit, and I guess maybe some questions that have kind of come up. And while I look for his pants. So I've been doing personal dream ceremonies, and then I've done some group ones. And I'm kind of more curious about the group ones, because it's so interesting how it's like we kind of dream for each other, and we kind of sometimes theme, and then it's been different at different times with different groups. But I'm trying to take Daniel. What did Daniel like? I'm just on a call. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Dada.
Oh, Daddy comes in.
Came at the right time. Yeah. So I found that really fascinating. And I did ask in my sheet questionnaire about that, like, what is that? What's going on? And I just kind of just accept that it happens. If there's any deeper insight that you want to share about that, it's happened for me in intentional ceremonies, and I've also had intentional ceremonies with groups where nothing happened. Like, so it's not like a sure thing. But I've also had it happen not in ceremony, or like I've been in ceremony and then someone shares a dream with me the next day. They're totally not, have no idea I'm in ceremony, just doing my own personal thing, and their dream is like clearly a message, you know. And also, I think there's different dimensions to that. It's probably also a message for them, but I kind of do that if it were my dream. In my own head, I'm like, oh wow, thanks for sharing that, but then I know it's also not just for me. And so yeah, and then also the community where, or the tradition where Wayusa is worked with for dreaming, it's like the people in Ecuador, so it's the Kishawar people and the Ajuju people, same. It's like, I don't know what's like a faction of them, but they every morning wake up and share their dreams. Like they know that their dreams are for each other, and they know that, yeah. So I'm curious about that, and if you have more insight. But I mean, it's just like a mystery, and it's cool that it happens.
Yes, definitely cool that it happens. There are ways that we could talk about like what the field phenomenon is and why we dream for each other and why it's even possible to dream as a group. But I'm curious if you could say just one more thing about when you say a dream ceremony, what does that actually mean?
Well, so a personal dream ceremony for me is like I'll often do some ritual before I go to sleep. But I think it can be as simple as just asking my dream guides a question. But when I started doing the apprenticeship, I was like every new moon, I wasn't sleeping with my husband. I didn't have a baby at the time. I was sleeping on my own in my studio, and I was like opening my mesa and just really connecting with different artists and sleeping with them and calling in, like making a relationship with different dream guides. And also because I was working with Wayusa, I was really like she was coming to me in my dreams, like embodied as a person, and some other plants were too. And I was like so I was really just trying to, yeah, a lot was happening with plants, and they were kind of being embodied as.
Are you talking about creating like a ritual structure around bedtime effect, essentially?
Yes, absolutely. And then when we were doing group ones, it was like we're in the same room, although I ended up being in a different room because I had my toddler. And I found like I was still very much a part of it. So I don't think you have to be in the same room, but you're in the same house. But everyone else was in the same room. And then we had like an altar in the center, and our heads were all, in the middle. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then also with the Wayusa, there's like a waking up around 3 a.m. to drink and going back to sleep. So it's like activating. Sometimes the more active dreams are coming later in the night like that. And so some of the plant, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. That is just really cool and heartening to hear. And I think that, I mean, fundamentally, all of this is a mystery, right? We don't really know how any of it works, but we do have some ways of talking about it. Actually, Darcy's example earlier of when he described laying in bed where somebody else has been sleeping, and it's like he laid down into their field. There was an imprint of that person's energy in the bed. And so when he went to sleep, that field, it's almost like, driving somebody else's car, like you were in their dream vehicle because there's so much entrainment for that person. And so that field, what we call the morphic field, if you, I'm sure that Robin and Darcy talk about the morphic field at some point in their teachings and apprenticeship. But the morphic field is something that is recognized as a global phenomenon. It connects us non-locally, that allows us to move into all kinds of different shared resonance. with people, places, beings, times. There's a lot of different applications. I'm not going to go into a whole explanation of morphic resonance, but if you do a little Google for morphic resonance, and Rupert Sheldrake is the physicist who has pioneered this language and explanation. It's very, very rich and exciting. But we are effectively stepping into, with the group dreaming, we're stepping into a shared field that is set and cast by both our shared intention and the altar. An altar anchors commitment, reality, orientation towards who and how we know ourselves to be in a very physical way that allows not just our minds, but also our bodies to entrain to a shared reality. So when you enter into that a shared dreaming, whether and it can totally work non-locally. I have been part of lots of experiments where people have a shared dream intention that's usually over a period of time, because the dreamers are a very global community. So it'll be like, okay, here's 4 windows of time, and we do like telepathy experiments where a dreamer casts a particular image into the dream, and then the other dreamers go and they're open to receiving it. We've also done exercises where you can actually lend somebody a dream, which is what it sounds like you've had. Somebody else came to you after a ceremony and they had a dream and it was for you. You can actually give your dreams to somebody else. And let's say you need a lot of support around that dream. If we had the time and inclination, we could all go into somebody else's dream together, which is really phenomenal. And of course, we don't do this without asking permission. But there's just a lot of success and experience and around this. There are if you're interested in learning more from other traditions too, like I know that the Tibetan dream yoga has a whole practice and about how to work with these things. I saw some comments in the chat that Steiner has something to say about everything, man. And it's also evidence that the collective dreaming in particular is that as much as we think we are not individuals. We are made up of everything that we eat, of what we drink, the air that we breathe. I mean, even at a biological level, we are made up of so many other beings. Somebody else made my clothes, somebody made this computer. Everything in my life is only possible because of so many other people. We are so much more a collective being than we are an individual. This notion of being an individual is a kind of a pathology. It's like very removed from reality. And paradoxically, simultaneously, there's only one of each of us. And there's nobody else like us. And the collective dreaming is such a palpable experience of that. Each individual refraction, each individual lens on what's going on creates this symphony of experience and soul growth and learning.
I wanted to just share 2 things I've noticed from my very small experience of having dream ceremonies over the last couple of years with group ones. So one is that a lot of people tend to, after we do the ceremony in the coming weeks, start to have more vivid, even if they didn't get very vivid dreams in the ceremony and they weren't having vivid dreams before that, they'll start to get them after. It's kind of like you open the portal by yeah, and so that's been pretty neat because they'll come back to me later and be like, oh, now I'm having all these dreams. Um, and the other is that when people have dreamed for me, like in my opinion, um, it's always been someone that has been in a ceremony with me at a later date. Um, so that's something I didn't really think about until right now, but it was like, oh, it's like because we went in, welcomed each other into the morphogenic field in dream time, and then all of a sudden now we have this connection, and so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also reminded me that, one of the best ways that if there's anybody, either you or anybody in your life who's struggling to dream at all, or to like remember your dreams, it's something that is just not really strong for you, then one of the most powerful ways is to this, honor the snippets. So if you have a dream and all you remember is like, oh, there was like somebody was drinking a milkshake, and that's like all you remember, and you're like, wow, that's really dumb. Like, I don't even like milkshakes. Write it down. I remember somebody had, a black coat on and they were trying to tell me something. Write it down. Write it down, because honoring the snippets has a similar impact of opening the portal, of saying, okay, like I heard you, I want to hear more. I felt a little something, like, please come, like, thank you. Thank you so much for this little ambassador. And then it will grow, and your dream practice will grow, and your both memory of and experience of dreams will grow. So are we good to stay for like 5 more minutes, Robin?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So Mark put a question into the chat here that says, if I have any further comments about the ethics of working dreams, or about the best practice of dream working. So when it comes to your dreams, you are the one who gets to decide what the ethics are. There is no dream that you shouldn't be participating in. It came to you. You are already a player. When we think about working with other people in dream time, we want to apply the exact same rules that we do when we're working with people in waking life. So we want to ask permission. And for me, like if I'm doing distance healing, maybe I know somebody is having a hard time and they're going through something, and maybe I can't ask them like directly. I can ask their higher self. I can ask in dream time and feel into whether it's a yes or a no. And even if maybe I don't get clarity, or sometimes even if I get a no, the way that I will approach it is as an offering. And like, especially if somebody is really having a hard time and I have love in my heart that is just like overflowing and I want to offer it, I will, move towards them, whether I'm offering energy, whether it's through a dream. And I imagine just like laying it at their feet, or like leaving a basket at the door of their home. And then it's there for them to take or leave. Our teacher, Don Oscar, says that the way that sin is described in the Pachakuti Mesa tradition is withholding love when you have it. And I feel a lot of resonance and truth in that. And I also use it when I'm thinking about any kind of healing work or working with people in any of this dimensionality. Yeah, so I would love to give you guys a little practice, a way to play with your dreams and your games in your waking life, which is a pretty short thing. And so maybe we can, Benoit, I can take your question, and then I'll share this little practice, and then we'll wrap us up. Benoit, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So a little bit like comment question, I guess. You spoke to the dimension of, we're all one, we're all helping each other, whether we do it consciously or not. And something that's been interesting for me in the past years are people are reflecting to me that I show up in dreams, in their dreams, but I don't do it consciously or, with intention. And so I guess I know you kind of spoke to it already, but a curiosity around like what is happening there. Um, I'm curious if there's a part of me that's offering something, or if they're just shaping their, you know, yeah, I'm not sure exactly the question of like what's happening, I guess, is that. But I relate a lot to what you spoke about. Like we're all helping each other anyway. We're all a part of the same organism, right? At the same system.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a great question. And I don't think there's one answer to it. And I don't think it's the same all the time. Um, when I've had that experience where people are like, you were in my dream, I often want to know, like, how was I? Like, am I doing well? Was I helpful? Did we have fun? Um, because there's something that they're bringing forward that to reflect to me that I can gain insight about myself. Sometimes I'll feel just like really warm knowing that there was time shared with a friend. Um, or they'll tell me, oh, like you showed up in my dream and you were so helpful. You did this thing that, I really needed. And I just say like, oh, like, thank God, and I also can relate to this idea that like, I'm not conscious of like sending myself to people's dreams. Um, and I feel that it's a combination of spirit bringing them a form that they could receive, probably also affirming a type of connection and support that wants to be shared more in waking life, which usually happens. Like if I have a dream about somebody or if they have a dream about me, we call each other. And then there's this warm conversation and we can find out and what's going on. And the whether it's like a manifestation of you that they needed to see or some aspect of you that is traveling beyond your conscious realm, we don't really know. This happens with Don Oscar a lot. People, Oscar, you were in my dream and you did this really powerful healing, and he's like, oh, fantastic. But he did not consciously send his sombra like to that person. Like 9 times out of 10, it's just part of the phenomenon of being in the multiverse, that we can have manifestations of ourselves, access points, or people create manifestations of us in their dreams. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard it said, but like there's a different version of us that exists inside of every person we know. And so that may also be part of what gets to play out. We have a reflection of ourselves and also something that's very unique to them. That's how I hold that. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with a game that you can play with dreaming, and it is called Sidewalk Tarot. Sidewalk Tarot is a way to bring the dreaming and the way we relate to symbols and how we might interpret that into our everyday life. And it's particularly helpful if you're looking for clarity or insight on any situation. So Sidewalk Tarot works by taking your dream for a walk, or taking your question for a walk. And the first 3 things that catch your eye are your like tarot cards of insight. It is very effective It can be played anywhere. It is really fun, and it's a way of courting the dreaming world into your waking life in a way that says, like, yes, universe, I am open to symbols. I am open to direct contact in clear and kind ways. I always like to say direct, clear, and kind, because we don't need any messages that cause harm or pain or upset, which, certainly can happen. So,
Not to be abstract, but when you say catch your when you're talking about going for an actual walk,
I'm
correct?
talking about going for an actual walk. Yes.
So not the first three things I see, which is screen door, porch, step down, but the first three things that catch my eye. So
That's right.
Different. Okay.
That's right. Not the first things you see, but like as you're, when you're walking through a neighborhood, or even it's the woods, like wherever you can take yourself walking, I'm sure you've all had the experience where something just gets your attention. And you might be like, oh, what is that? Sometimes it's a little like paper on the ground. And in that case, I'm going to get close and I'm going to read, what is that paper? Are there words on it? How old is it? What's going there? Let's see. There was a quote that somebody popped into the chat from paraphrasing Robert Moss: live your life as though you're walking through a forest of symbols. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and this is a way to really invite the game of life to be alive, and to gain insight without having to have any particular tools. The world is speaking to us all the time, whether our eyes are open or closed. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for your questions and your deep listening and willing to play your dreams. And Robin and Darcy, thank you guys so much for inviting me into this field of amazing students. Really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. This was wonderful. We deeply appreciate your insight, your wisdom, and I love playful games to interact with life, and especially the shamanic reality. It's so easy to start to get really serious, and I'm going to take both of the practices that you shared and really run with them and experiment with those in my life. And yeah, thank you so much for serving our community. And we're connecting the Northwest and the Northeast, and that feels really good. So thank you so much. And if anybody'd like to learn more about your work, where can we find out more about you?
Yeah, you can find more about me at villagewellness.net. That's where I have a little website home. And also, I do work one-on-one. You can find my contact on there, but Robin, if you want to share any of my info with your community, be happy to dive deep with anybody who likes. And yeah, but villagewellness.net would be the place.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, and have a beautiful rest of your evening, and happy solstice.
Thank you. Yes, happy solstice, y'all. Really beautiful. Nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones. And yeah, sweet dreams, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye for now.